Madeline Wren, and I'm here today on behalf of the Boston Women's Workforce Council. So the Boston Women's Workforce Council is a partnership with the City of Boston under Mayor Marty Walsh's administration and Boston University. We partner with the SAIL team at the Hariri Institute at BU to collect accurate and unimpeachable data to provide evidence of the gender wage gap and encourage membership in the 100% Talent Compact. So through the Compact, businesses pledge to take concrete, measurable steps to eliminate the gender wage gap in their companies. With these initiatives, as well as with salary negotiation workshops that are provided through the City of Boston and with legislation, the City of Boston provides a unique model of methods and best practices to eliminate the gender wage gap beginning at the local level. Thank you.
Hello everyone, I'm Jen Gilliman with my colleague Wendy Swart-Grossman, and we're from Boston University's College of Fine Arts. We are talking about our Arts and Ideas Symposium. It is at the edges when unlikely partners join forces that true innovation takes place. Writer Anne Fetterman says, "I have always felt that the action most worth watching is not at the center of things, but where edges meet. I like shorelines, weather fronts, international borders. There are interesting frictions and incongruities in these places, and often, if you stand at the point of tangency, you can see both sides better than if you were to stand in the middle of either one."
Building on the national trends of increased public and private sector work around creative placemaking, the timing is ripe for cross-disciplinary collaboration. In the article, we wrote and we asked the question, how can arts and business leaders join forces to create stable economic opportunities while building vibrant communities addressing social needs? Arts and culture will continue to serve as a valuable strategic partner in Boston, and our article highlights how universities can lead the way to link vital partners towards positive social change.
I'm with Union Capital Boston, and we believe very much in social capital. It's important in low-income communities that we invest in financial capital. It's really important that we invest in human capital. Turns out also really important to invest in social capital, but hard to do that. What is that? How do we build an infrastructure that creates trust, connections, shares resources? And so our model in doing so the last couple of years has been to reward civic and community engagement, to get people connected by incentivizing them coming out to events and programs and resources and building bonds and connections. The interesting thing that happens over time is we have almost 1,000 members that when they join have a 22% unemployment rate, and after a year that drops to 15%. We don't run any program, we don't have any offices, we don't have anything other than the network. And it's through that network that opportunity gets created, just like investments in human and financial capital. We need to invest further in the social capital and the bonds and trusts that create opportunity for individuals and our city and community. So read about it in our article. Thanks.
Hi, my name is Stanley Pollack. My article is entitled "The Teen Empowerment Model, Youth Building Peaceful Communities Together," and it highlights three important things. One is the importance of impacting youth culture if you want it to impact youth behavior. Another is that programs need to address the need to build positive relationships, particularly between youth and police, and between youth and adults. And thirdly, to have programs based on an understanding of the importance of having young people fulfill roles of leadership in the projects where they are trying to create change in communities, and particularly important to involve youth of highest risk in that process in leadership positions, not just in positions where they're receiving services and support. The article describes a teen empowerment model step-by-step approach to selecting, training, and managing youth as leaders as they implement strategies to lower rates of crime and violence, which they have done successfully many times, and improve relationships between their peers, the police, and community residents and adult policymakers.
Good afternoon, I'm Mike Durkin with the United Way, and about a year ago, United Way in conjunction with Boston College School of Social Work and two professors, Stephanie Berzin and Tiziana Deering, are here. We came together around the idea of what could we do to innovate and stimulate innovation more effectively for families, particularly homeless families. Through that, we also had one overriding commitment, and that was that innovation did not have to lead to a new nonprofit organization or a new program being created. We believe that there were good things that we could stimulate and support to create innovation from within. So we went through a juried competition. We were able to raise $100,000 as, if you will, prize money, and we were able to select 3 great organizations, Home Start, Metro Housing Boston, and Children's Health Watch for the innovative work they're doing. We spent the last year really with the support of the BC faculty looking at how we could expand great programs that they already have, helping them to take it to that mystical thing of scale. So that's what we've been working on for the last year. Great coming together, focusing on innovation from within. But wait, there's more. You can read about that in the journal.
Hi, my name is Shahir Mustafa, and I'm President and CEO of Hopewell. Good afternoon.
And I'm Yolanda Cointreau, President and CEO of the Institute for Nonprofit Practice.
The nonprofit sector has a race problem. Over the past 20 years, representative diversity at top levels of leadership remains virtually unchanged despite commitments to impact this disparity. In fact, only 10% of nonprofit leaders are people of color, yet we rely on these same organizations to serve our most diverse communities. It's abundantly clear that holding the values of diversity, equity, and inclusion is simply not enough. As a sector, we need to change our behavior.
The moral imperative that supports diversity efforts is important, but unless organizations can recognize the value added to core business objectives by embracing diversity, we'll continue to make hollow promises. Whether it's ending domestic violence or intergenerational poverty or the degradation of the environment, we need our most innovative, creative, and diverse ideas at the table. The Institute for Nonprofit Practice has been living its values and shifting the needle by preparing this and the next generation of nonprofit leaders with the skills and perhaps more importantly the networks they need to run effective and innovative organizations. Read our article and learn more about the lack of diverse representation in leadership, why you should care about it, and what IMP is doing to address this critical issue. Thank you.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Jimmy Stewart. I'm the Director of External Affairs at Compass Working Capital. Compass is a nonprofit financial services organization. What we're interested in is finding ways to make it easier for families to build wealth as a pathway to greater economic opportunity and also up and out of poverty. What we've written about are the results of a program we've been running for over 7 years here in the Boston area. The program aims to leverage an existing but often overlooked mechanism inside of federally subsidized housing that allows families to build savings as they pay their rent. The mechanics of the program are somewhat complex, but the idea behind it is something we think is pretty exceptional. What we've been trying to do the last few years is tack on what we know to do, how to do really well, which is providing financial coaching and individual financial education to families in order to really figure out how they can make the most of this mechanism and reach big financial goals and become more financially secure. The results have been really strong so far, and we've been happy to write about them in this issue of the journal. Thank you.
Good afternoon. My name is Marion Taylor Brown, and I'm with Arts Connect International. The arts in America suffer from a cultural equity gap, aka institutionalized and systemic racism, seen both within arts leadership as well as access to the arts. A Grantmakers in the Arts study found that 86% of all respondents and 92% of CEOs self-identify as white. This gap is reflected throughout the arts world in academia, artist sales, and donor and foundation demographics and priorities. Working to close the cultural equity gap, Arts Connect International, a Boston-based nonprofit, has become an equity incubator, focused on creating community-contextualized change through 4 social impact areas: leadership development, community programming, consulting, and research. These 4 areas leverage current capabilities and commitments that help to close the equity gap one step at a time. Thank you.
I'm Sue Kovitz. I'm the Executive Director at Families First. If you build it, they will come and they will stay. This is not always the case, especially in a 16-week parenting education program for parents who are dealing with a multitude of stressors. And so, yet we know that if they don't stay, if parents aren't in our programs for the majority of the time, we won't see the outcomes for the families that we work with, the positive outcomes. And so we believe we've cracked the code, or at least we've started to crack the code on retention in programs. And we intended this article, which focuses on the voices, elevating the voices of parents, not only to share what has worked for us, but hopefully to inspire others to think about how they as well can elevate the voices of clients or families in their programs. And I'll just share briefly that some of the things that the strategies we've employed that we have seen or have found to be effective are things like parent leadership, so actually having parents do the recruitment and retention in our programs, which has worked very well. We've also implemented parent cafes where parents exchange ideas, thus building much more social connection among the parents in our programs. And as well, we've provided some key incentives, so things like getting college credit for coming to parenting classes.
Hello, Jay O'Brien, co-founder of Exceptional Lives. So you've just received your child's diagnosis. Maybe it's autism or intellectual disability or ADHD. You visit the web and you get instantly overwhelmed with information. What do? You start with us. Exceptional Lives provides free, trustworthy, customized resources to parents of children with disabilities using the principles of health literacy and plain language. Our personalized guides empower you to navigate processes like early intervention, special education, Medicaid, and Social Security benefits. Or type your zip code into our resource directory and find local therapists, pediatricians, dentists, social groups, employment and housing programs, parent support, legal aid, and 50 more support categories. So yes, these diagnoses can be overwhelming. But Exceptional Lives is here to help you sift through this sea of information and get exactly what you need to help your exceptional child thrive. Thank you.
Russell Shute, Professor of Sociology at UMass Boston. How do Boston's residents experience their neighborhoods? How do they react to public policies, to changing social patterns and economic opportunities? What do they think about their safety, their commute, about living and working in the city? Do we know their hopes for the future? Beacon, a periodic internet survey across Boston neighborhoods, combines attitudinal and experiential data with social media and other big data. State-of-the-science methods to let Boston residents shine a light on contemporary issues for local government, researchers, and practitioners. Boston, it's time to be heard. It's time for Beacon to understand the social environment that shapes all of our prospects.
Hello, I'm Sabrina Cantor. I'm the labs director at SCOUT. SCOUT is a design studio led entirely by undergraduate students at Northeastern. In addition to giving design feedback and design work to real clients, we also host bi-weekly speaker series as well as an annual design conference. SCOUT Labs is a branch under SCOUT, and we focus on using design thinking as a way to create social impact in the Boston area. Each year, we partner with a new organization through the Center of Community Service at Northeastern. Through this, we try to create impact with our client, but we also focus on creating an educational experience for our team members. This past semester, we had 2 different students who had no previous design experience, and we were able to introduce them to the design process, something they would not be able to otherwise do through their coursework. Lastly, our multidisciplinary teams is what makes us unique. We have a developer, a designer, a behavioral neuroscience major, and an economics major. And this multidisciplinary collaboration is what allows us to build off each other's ideas, challenge each other, learn from one another, and create innovative and more successful solutions. Thank you.
There is one place in Boston where immigrant and refugee families are welcomed and can receive legal, wellness, and education services to help them on their journey towards integration and success. The Irish International Immigrant Centre is Boston's welcome centre for over 3,000 families a year. We're a port na fáilte, a port of welcomes that provides free integration services in an accessible downtown location and also out in a number of neighbourhood locations. We advocate for comprehensive immigration reform and other legislation that makes Massachusetts more welcoming for newcomers. And we build community among immigrants from different backgrounds. Along with many partners, the Irish International Immigrant Centre is working towards a society where all are welcomed and valued and enjoy equal opportunities and protections. Come and visit us at 1 State Street.
I'm Dawn Grenier from UTech. Young people who have been in jail or in gangs often have no history of legal work employment. Nonprofit social enterprises can be a great transitional employment model for young people like these who need the work experience and may be very resistant to joining programs that will help them get a job. A nonprofit a social enterprise can provide paid work experience in a real-world setting with real-world business operations, but also work in the support services that come in traditional nonprofit human service programming. So our article outlines the best practices that we've found for youth work and business operations that make it possible to achieve a triple bottom line with social enterprises: youth outcomes, fiscal return for the nonprofit, and community impact for all of us.
Good afternoon. My name is Singumbe Muyeva. I'm a research and evaluation specialist from the Massachusetts Housing and Shelter Alliance. Pay for Success is an innovative financing approach where public sector dollars pay for the success of a program rather than paying for a contract that promises success. We partner with the private sector for financing, demonstrate success to the Commonwealth, and then pay back the private sector after the Commonwealth pays us. The Commonwealth of Massachusetts awarded the Massachusetts Housing and Shelter Alliance with a contract to administer the first social innovation financing Housing First Pay for Success program. The mission of MAHASA is to end homelessness in Massachusetts. In this program, we provide permanent supportive housing to chronically homeless high utilizers of emergency medical services and aim to retain 85% in housing over the course of a year. Currently, the program has housed 624 homeless individuals since February 2015, and we have had a successful retention rate of 95% in the first year. In our article, we show significant reduction in utilization of emergency medical services by our clients, and our cost-benefit analysis shows up to $2 million in savings to the state. Pay for Success has indeed demonstrated success in retaining formerly homeless individuals while reducing costs to the public. Please read more in our article.
Hello, my name is FORREST. I'm here from SOLSTICE. We are a local social enterprise aimed at bringing scalable innovations to bring solar and clean energy to every American. So Community Solar lets households subscribe to a solar farm in their area and see savings on their electricity bill. This new model for solar energy is already bringing affordable clean energy to more Americans, but there's still disproportionate exclusion of low-income communities and communities of color from the solar market. Solstice has created a new way of qualifying people for community solar farms that is based on over almost 500,000 customer records and is projected to expand access to low-income communities and communities of color.
Hi, good afternoon. I'm Susan MUSINSKY and I'm the Social Innovation Forum. So the Social Innovation Forum's article is a collaborative approach to social impact, and it's speaking about a specific example that I'll tell you about. But first I want to say what we do at the Social Innovation Forum is we use a marketplace approach to actually look at social change. And so half of our work is working with funders and supporters and volunteers and investors, and half of our work is working with socially focused leaders in the nonprofit community, people who are really focused on day-to-day, what do I do for social change? And our work is actually bringing people together on a regular basis. One, so that people get to know each other, and two, that funders and supporters can actually work with activists and nonprofit leaders and people who are running organizations in a unique way. And when legislation came in from Washington at the beginning of the year around issues of refugees, immigrants, and asylum seekers, there were a lot of funders in Boston who began to come together. AGM sponsored a forum. There were probably 80 people in a room saying, oh my goodness, what are we going to do? And based on SIF's marketplace approach and looking at the fact that since 2011 there had been 10,000 new immigrants who'd come to our community to call this home, SIF felt like it was a really unique opportunity and time to actually bring this marketplace approach together. And so we put out a call to all the funders that were in that room, other funders that we knew, and said, we want to do something collaboratively. This is a pretty challenging time for everybody to react independently. There's other ways that we can come together and look at the approach and the ways that we could create social impact. And so we ended up having 8 funding partners that represented a larger number of people, and in the past 6 months have actually gone through a vetting and selection process, and on Thursday night we'll be announcing one social innovator who we'll be working with for 24 months on capacity building. But even better yet, it has spawned a tremendous amount of other work and other interests. We're going to be working with 6 to 8 of the groups who didn't get chosen for the core piece of our work on a capacity camp, and then moving forward with our work. So thanks so much. Read the article to see more.
I'm Jen FAIGEL. I'm the Executive Director of Commonwealth Kitchen. We are Boston's food business incubator and food manufacturing social enterprise. Our work is really core around economic development, asset building, and wealth creation. I spent 25 years in the nonprofit sector doing affordable housing development. Really important work. People are still poor. We have to change the model. So we've looked at a model that says, how do we help people start businesses at a way to help them get themselves out of poverty and create real businesses? The reality when you try to create a real business in any sector, particularly food, where the economics are horrible, is you have to take a systems-based approach. So our work is really looking at a comprehensive model of how do you take a person who wants to be a food truck or a caterer or make hot sauce or Haitian pickles or whatever it is and get them to a place where they can actually access market. And so really our focus is from farm to the institutions to the retailers and everybody in between to build the connections that allow our businesses to create real companies. 75% of our companies are owned by women and people of color, and we're having some great metrics. Read our report. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Colby SWETTBERG with Silver Lining Mentoring. We are the only mentoring organization in Massachusetts working exclusively with young people in foster care. Youth in foster care move frequently. I don't know how many times you all have moved in the last year, but the young people we work with, many of them have moved not just once or twice or 3 times. Many of them have moved more than 4 or 5 times in 1 year. With every move, they fall behind 6 months academically. With every move, they lose relationships, connections to natural mentors in their community like teachers or coaches, as well as caregivers. So at Silver Lining Mentoring, we are in the business of creating consistent, long-term connections for young people who would not otherwise have them. Youth come into foster care because they've experienced severe abuse or neglect, so severe that they've been removed from their families of origin. So we put young people in place with long-term volunteer mentors. These are often the only adults in their lives who are not paid to spend time with them. And then we teach them life skills to prepare them for the eventual aging out process. Along the way, we allow them to earn money in the context of that mentoring relationship through our life skills workshops and save it. And when they save what they're earning, we match their savings dollar for dollar. So they age out of the foster care system with a long-term, consistent, connected mentor, with life skills resources, and with financial resources to put toward their next step.
Hello, I'm Amy Vaccaro. I'm here for Javier Frasetto. So we are from a company called Entrepreneurial Finance Lab, or EFL. We were started at Harvard University about 10 years ago, looking for ways to help people with little to no credit information get access to credit. And what we found was that personality is highly correlated with credit risk. So if you can measure personality, you can actually predict credit performance. And the great thing about this is it means that everyone has a personality and anyone can get a credit score. So this article that we published shares two of the traits that we have seen as predictive of credit risk over the last 10 years, impulsivity and delayed gratification. It's pretty interesting stuff, and these techniques of kind of using psychometrics and behavioral analysis in credit scoring are being used across 20 countries right now, across over 1 million people, and over $2 billion in loans lent to date. It's really exciting. We actually just recently, our company EFL just merged with a company called Lendo. We're now going by Lendo EFL, and our mission is to include 1 billion people around the world. So check out the article, and thanks so much.
So my name is Drew Bonfiglio. On my day job, I'm the founder of a social enterprise called MUSINSKY. We do leadership development and social impact with universities and companies. But in the article and here today, I'm representing as the co-chair of the board of the Greater Boston local community of certified B Corps. And so we wrote this article for 3 reasons. First is that the number of hands raised here is not the case when you go into the Greater Boston community in general, and even within parts of the social innovation sector, we'll say. The second is to highlight some of the cool work that's being done here, like great local companies like POLLACKI. And the third is that through the parent organization that does the certification, there are a lot of resources, including an impact assessment that can help our existing businesses, whether you're for-profit or nonprofit, improve your impact. So thank you very much.
Big companies and developers drive economic development in our cities. But what if working class communities of color could develop their own neighborhoods? Boston Ujima Project is making that possible by building a community-controlled local economy. We're establishing a democratic investment fund. What makes it democratic? Boston residents can invest as little as $50 and then vote on which locally owned businesses and real estate projects the fund should invest in. Foundations and impact investors will also invest, but whether you invest $50 or $100,000, everybody gets one vote, an equal say in where the money goes. By pooling our resources and our wisdom, we are building wealth, ownership, and power. I'm Libby Cohn with Boston Ujima Project. To learn more about community-controlled development, you can visit our website, ujimaboston.com.
Hi, I'm Craig Bida with VeriCloud. We're a Boston-based social venture that's focused on unlocking economic opportunity for women, minority, veteran, and other diverse businesses by connecting them to public sector contracting opportunities. Now, you might not wake up every morning thinking about public sector contracting. How big could that possibly be? Well, it's $500 billion big. That's how much city, state, federal government across the U.S. spends every year on everything from Post-its to paint, building bridges, tunnels. The Big Dig right nearby is probably the best example in Boston. And there are diversity targets. Between 10 and 30% of those revenues are targeted for minority, women, and other diverse businesses. The sad reality is that most of this targeting is just that, and that there are incredibly poor performance rates, inequality, discrimination, and inefficiency persist in that marketplace, depriving individuals and communities of economic opportunity, which is rightfully theirs. That's why we created VeriCloud. We're a digital, easy-to-use platform that activates the public sector contracting ecosystem. We're designed to make it easy for young entrepreneurs of all kinds, big companies, contractors, government agencies to connect and to connect opportunities to the entrepreneurs who can deliver against them. So now it's easy for cities like Boston to actually deliver against their diversity targets and for diverse entrepreneurs to get their fair share of the economic opportunity to support their businesses and their communities. If you're interested in any of these things, diversity, economic opportunity, ecosystems, we'd love to partner with you. Thank you.
Good afternoon. I'm James Harder. I'm the Communications Director at Morgan Memorial Goodwill Industries. I'm here on behalf of Joanne Hilferty, the CEO of Goodwill, and Madre Good, the Director of Boston CareerLink. And our social innovation is to ensure that all job seekers, regardless of economic status or access to technology, have the ability to find a good job. And we do that by emphasizing social interaction, human contact versus technology, by inviting businesses, employers to come to Goodwill, to come to Boston CareerLink, and to meet face-to-face with job seekers. And we hopefully will see some of you come into our Career Center to do something like that as well. You can read more about this social innovation in our article. Thank you.
So good afternoon, my name is DAKOTA GANGI. I am a Sustainable Finance and Impact Investing Manager at Environmental Defense Fund. As I'm sure many of you are aware, the physical risks and effects posed by climate change are becoming clearer and more destructive every year. And while COP21 and the Paris Agreement that resulted from that meeting in Paris provide hopeful indicators of humanity's collective need to act, making that agreement a reality is going to take a lot of heavy lifting, particularly heavy lifting when it comes to investments. One estimate suggests that the global climate investment gap is approximately $27 trillion. And to fill that gap, we need to mobilize the resources of the private sector. Thankfully, the public and nonprofit sectors can leverage their resources to do this and get private sector capital off the sidelines and into the game. Our article describes how we can use environmental impact bonds to do this in the context of sustainable infrastructure. So an environmental impact bond, or EIB, it's a financial mechanism that applies performance-based financing to measure, monetize, and deliver positive environmental outcomes. We believe that EIBs can be a valuable tool to support climate-ready Boston the city's ongoing initiative to help Boston plan for the future. Thanks.